morning or whatever is remotely good. I mean, the weather's turned out really nice today. It's really weird. Um, but yeah, a fair bit to get through this morning, so I just want to crack on. I've got what 7 or 8 pairs that I want to go through. 9 pairs. And you've got to bear with me because I've slept about 20 minutes, so I'm not on top form. However, we will take our time over this chart work and make sure we get it right. So the first pair that I want to take a look at is Euro New Zealand. Euro New Zealand on the weekly close. Can see that we had quite a strong and positive weekly close. We've gapped overnight and then obviously come back and retested. We've closed that gap up now. So if we come into like the 30 minutes very quickly. Can see that last night, let me just pull the crosshairs back up. Can see that last night we gapped to the upside. We very quickly fallen back down. We're just floating around this little liquidity area at the moment. So I'm just going to come out to the 4 hours. Just take into account why we've highlighted this area and why we're looking at this zone. So you can see through here the amount of times that we've used this area as support. And then obviously through here, we've got these support regions also. So all we're looking to do is climb that ladder, go from one step to the next. So once we get above, we'll be looking for long positions into 168.20. And then obviously from there, we'll be looking up to 169. All looks good on the 4 hours. As we come further down, you can see that we failed to break below the previous lows. If that spike is anything to be contended with last night, looks like we could be on for a fresh higher high. Come into Friday's close, and you can see that we also have that bullish engulfing candle. So it looks as if we could be set for a run to the upside. It's just this consolidation region that we were stuck in previously that is kind of hindering price at the moment. When we come into the 4 hours though, you can see where we've been sat in this consolidation. So once we're out of this area and once we're above this consolidation region, which we're kind of floating in the realms of, but we do really need to get back above this area at 67. Once we're up and above this area 67, so like 67.10, 67.20, somewhere around these regions, we can definitely consider long entries, looking to take advantage of the weakness that is still surrounding kind of those Asian currencies, those Australasian currencies. And we go through and have a look a little bit deeper into a couple of other pairs of those also. But on the flip side, we have at the moment, obviously, we've got Euro New Zealand. If we can get back below 66.50, 66.20, anywhere in and around that kind of 30 pip window, that at that point we've got to consider that shorts are probably the more likely scenario. So we're probably going to, at that point, turn our attentions back to short positions and be looking to target kind of back down around 63. So there's a couple of 100 pips in this pair, and there's a couple of 100 pips this week in this pair. It's not something that's just going to be like a one-day wonder. But there are definitely some pips in this pair. Obviously, we've got a speech this afternoon around about lunchtime from President Lagarde to be mindful of. And obviously then this evening there's a lot of FOMO minutes. But with regards to real significant Euro data or Euro news, there isn't any. There is also a speech, I think it's Wednesday afternoon. There's like a flurry of all the heads of banks taking a speech, which is going to cause probably some pretty seismic waves, to be fair, that we're going to need to be very, very mindful of and very aware of. So at the moment, it's a waiting game. We don't have our entries, but if we do get above 67.20, then I will definitely be looking to long the pair. If we break back below 66.20, then I will definitely be looking to short that pair. With regards to New Zealand dollar, though, there is no fundamentals or any data due for release this week that should cause any real moves. Anything that comes from it, anything that comes that moves the New Zealand dollar is going to be unscheduled data, so we need to keep an eye on that. With regards to the 30-minute time frame, the failure to break back above these highs after such a drop is obviously of a concern. But again, we can see the support region that we have around this 66.20 region. So that just highlights to us the fact that we need to get below that zone before we can consider it. And then obviously at least we have, at the very least, we have a run into 65.60, 65.50. So a decent return, and obviously the same to the upside. So it's a waiting game, but it's definitely got potential. While we are on Euro charts, I want to just have a quick look at Euro Yen. Last week, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that the yen was pretty weak. And we ended up seeing a vast amount of buying pressure coming to the pair. So from 128, we fired all the way back to the upside. We can very much anticipate that to continue. We can see that from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we saw masses to the upside. Now, all we're going to look to do here is take entries above Friday. So simply on a 4-day high or low, high and low strategy is all that we're interested in. So if you consider the last 4 days, looking at where those potential highs and lows are in the market, simply going to look to short the pair should we get back below the 50 level, or long the pair as and when we break back above. So if we can get back above, going to be conservative and put in the 90 level, then that should lead us into those potential long positions. The 4 hours looks pretty good for it. We've come back and seen a potential new swing form. Just come lower into the hourly time frame. We've broken the highs and we're failing to break previous lows. So high or low, we've got that engulfing. So if at 10 o'clock we do see positive closes, then we can definitely look to long the pair. The only thing I would be mindful of is a potential return back to 129.20. That could cause us some potential problems and throw some spanners in the work. But for the time being, I would definitely consider that longs on the pair at the moment would be the best use of our time. Would definitely present the best opportunities for us. So that is definitely something for us to be mindful of at the moment. So yeah, definitely be aware of Euro Yen long potentials. I don't think there was another Euro pair that I wanted to look at, so I want to jump over to the pound. Pound dollar is the first place that I want to look at. You can see how well we've come back to retest this area at 36.60 last week. If you look at the weekly, you can see that we'd started to reject it away, but we had failed to break back below the lows. As far as the monthly goes, we're very undecided, quite a neutral. And then obviously on the daily, we saw Thursday with a massive push, and then Friday a little bit of a return back to that retest of the previous support that we can see through here. If you come into the 4-hour time frame at the moment, obviously what we are seeing and what we're starting to witness is the fact that we have failed to break the lows. We are currently sitting and creating a higher low to match the new higher high that we have here. We've broken back above some significant levels in regards to potential support regions that we have through here. So as long as we can get back above 137, so probably going to go as far as saying 137.30 makes the most sense at the moment. But if we can get above 137.30, 137.30, then long positions back up into 138 make all the sense in the world. If you come out onto the daily time frame, you can see that obviously we have floated around these bottoms and we have been testing this support region. But if and when we can get back above that 37.30 region, then we can definitely consider that pushes into 38 make the most sense. So it really depends on what happens around this 37 level. If 37 holds strong and we fail to break above 37.30, then what we could potentially see is the pair obviously just stall, enter some period of consolidation, and then we would have to wait for the next move. On the flip side, looking into the playing devil's advocate, looking onto the other side of the pair, whilst I do kind of see the pound strengthening up a bit this week, pound New Zealand, pound dollar, pound yen in particular, there is obviously definitely the potential for that to flip on its head. And with Governor Bailey speaking on Wednesday afternoon, along with all the other central bank heads, things have the opportunity to flip in an instant. So be mindful, we'll be very mindful and aware of that. But as things stand at the moment, what we are most looking for is that break back to the upside. Pops above 37.20, 37.30 should lead us into 138. Drops back below the lows, and I'm probably going to wait for 36.30 to go, or 36.20 to go before looking to enter. But that should see us come all the way back down into kind of around about 133 initially, and then obviously an extension to that somewhere around 132. We can see the lows that we have through there. So that will take a little while to come good, but again, we will sit and wait for it. Pound yen, obviously the yen having a terrible time of it given the current crisis. That I say crisis, it's not really a crisis yet, but a potential crisis that is looming surrounding that side of the world at the moment. With regards to this pair, obviously this morning we've seen a significant push to the upside that we have missed and not been able to catch, but I would definitely anticipate seeing a pullback. And I do just, it's going to be miles away, isn't it? Do you just want to pull this back up? Where do I want to pull it to? So 51.60. Pull it into the highs of these regions, just to take into account these highs through here and the potential for that pullback, and then obviously to be able to take advantage of any pullback should that happen. Should we see the pair come down as low as 51.60, then I would definitely be looking to long the pair away from there. Only really looking for long entries on the yen at the moment, or against the yen at the moment. With regards to potential upside entries, now obviously targets, we're targeting the highs through here. Now we just need to find a potential entry when it comes to the upside, and realistically that's probably not going to come until as a potential continuation entry until 152.20. So we can see, now that that's plotted in, that would break the highs through this area. It would also take out the previous highs and support region through here. That should then likely lead us at least into 52.80 and then potentially up into 53.50. So that would be our continuation entry at this point in time. Obviously, we've seen quite a significant move and push to the upside this morning already. So we're going to need to bide our time and wait this out. But should either of those levels be taken out and broken this morning, then obviously we can look for our entries there. Pound New Zealand is another one that I wanted to look at. Again, we've seen significant pushes to the upside this morning. I'm kind of a little bit gutted. That kind of looks as if my planned entry has passed by, but we can look for another very quickly. You can already see that we've got this support region through here. Do just need to pull this level up a little bit higher. Just want to take into account these region through here. So I want to go as far high as 80, I believe. Do I though? Do I? Yeah, I do really, don't we? Need to come and just take into account the potential for reversals in this area and in this zone. But definitely seeing at the moment that if we can pop out above 95.80, then we can definitely long the pair. Just coming, I just want to look lower, see if we've had any potential pullbacks or retests, and we haven't. So I would definitely be looking to long the pair should we end up back around about 95.10. So if we do pull back into 95.10, which I think is probably likely, then I will be looking to long the pair from that potential pullback, retest of the area of breakout, and then go again. That would be beneficial, or obviously above 95.80 at the moment would definitely lead us. 95.80 would lead us into long positions. First and foremost, we'll come out to the 4 hours. We would set an initial target at 198, but there is definitely the potential to continue that long all the way through until the whole number, so 2.0000. And if that were to obviously happen, then we would just take full profits at that point in time and look to reevaluate where we go from there. But definitely a lot of potential for Pound New Zealand longs, Euro New Zealand long, Euro yen, Pound yen, and Pound dollar all on potential longs. Dollar CAD is another pair that I wanted to look at. Last week, huge amounts of selling pressure, and we've managed to get that engulfing formation also. That's something that we can definitely look to take advantage of. Today doesn't look quite so promising. And the dollar doesn't look to have had the greatest start to the morning. The CAD dollar, Canadian dollar, should I say. I was looking at Euro CAD from last week, which has started to see pullbacks this morning already. So again, we can hypothesize that we're probably likely to see some pullbacks regarding this pair at the moment. Makes a lot of sense for the pair to kind of come back and retest around about 127. So we'll see what happens around 127. A pullback into these highs, pullback into those levels make a lot of sense. You can come all the way out, zoom out, you can see the amount of support that you have around this region. So it makes a lot of sense at the moment to be looking for that. And then we go from there, see where we lie and see what happens from there. But 127 at the moment looks highly likely. Failing that, pops back below 126 will likely lead us back into 124.50. So I do fancy the short. Obviously, the pressure that come into it last week and the fact that the dollar doesn't look immensely strong unless you're looking at gold, definitely lead us into the potential to look into those shorts. But you can see already from the pair the amount of time that is spent in between these two levels, in between these two zones, and the consolidation period that we've got. So all we're doing at the moment is looking for a breakout of those levels and seeing where we go. The other thing that naturally that looks quite appealing is a bit counterintuitive to that CAD trade, but at the moment, let's just get rid of that. But at the moment, dollar yen is currently breaking highs. Not a surprise, all yen pairs seem to be at the moment. You can definitely consider potentially seeing pullbacks this morning. Just want to come into the lower time frames. To be fair, the dollar looks as if it's a very sustainable move. Might see dollar pullbacks into 110.80. In fact, I'm just going to alert it but dollar pullbacks into 110.80 looks quite probable. And then obviously we see where we go from there. It might be the fact that we pull all the way back into 110.40. I might just alert that as well while I'm here. It might be that we see pullbacks into 110.40. And then obviously from there we're able to take potential long trades above that region. So just a retest of the area of breakout of this consolidation period before seeing obviously drives continue back up into kind of the 112 region. So we'll see what happens and we'll see where we go from there. As things stand at the moment, though, definitely looking to the upside against all yen pairs. I can't see how any strength comes into the yen. At the moment, though, obviously the dollar we do fancy, or I do personally fancy a little bit of dollar weakness coming into the beginning of this week. There are some fundamentals at some point this week. Today there's some FOMAC speeches throughout the evening, so mid-afternoon all the way through to the evening, and a Bank of England speech tonight. Fed chair testimony tomorrow, which means that there will also be a Fed chair speech on Wednesday. GDP figures for the dollar on Thursday and CAD GDP on Friday. So yeah, there's a few things towards the end of the week. It's quite a dollar focused week, if I'm honest, with regards to potential fundamentals. So that's just something for us to be mindful of and something to be a little bit cautious of. But as things stand at the moment, I think any long positions against the yen, back in yen weakness, look pretty highly probable. So CAD pullbacks into 127 look probable or possible. And definitely shorts below 126, high probability. And we just see how these yen pairs initiate their pullbacks this morning, but they're definitely going to happen. Let me just come back to pound yen. The pullbacks are definitely going to occur on these yen pairs, so it's just taking advantage when they do. CAD yen is another pair. We've seen massive rises last week, and all we're going to look to do now is take longs above 88. Going to alter my potential target though. At the moment, obviously, we were looking into the potential for runs into this initial position, so into 88.50, but I would definitely be looking to pull that up into 89, and in and around these areas to begin with, but potential to run up into 90 most definitely should we see the breaks. Again, failure to break the previous lows, chilled in some consolidation. Again, we're just looking to break above previous highs, but anything above 88 should definitely lead into 89. And then obviously we can look to capitalize from there. The only way that the outlook on the yen changes is if obviously this Evergrande situation gets cleared up with a potential bailout. That's the only way that it's going to get cleared up. At the moment, you can almost certainly bank on weakness coming from that currency as things stand. Pullbacks on this pair, you could definitely look for the pair to come as low as 87.30. That looks quite probable. And then obviously we can just look as to where we go from there. As things stand at the moment, that looks kind of the most likely situation or the most likely scenario. So we will just see it through, see where the chips land, see where things fall at the beginning of this week, and then obviously where we go from there. What else was on my list? New Zealand CAD and then gold. New Zealand dollar, terrible time of things last week. Obviously, we can see from Euro New Zealand and Pound New Zealand that it's not had the best of times. And obviously, the Canadian dollar did strengthen up towards the end of last week also. With regards to the pair at the moment, obviously what we are definitely going to pay attention to are pullbacks into this 89.20 region to take potential retracement entries. So watching for the pullback up into 89.20 and then obviously it pushes back to the downside. So shorts from here, confirming that fresh new swing as well. And then obviously we can focus on a potential return back to 87 or 86.80, somewhere around that region. So a decent potential risk to reward for us there. As things stand at the moment, obviously, we have previous highs through this region that we need to get below. So if we just pop a level through there with an alert, because that's where we want to get into. But it makes it very clear for us to see the potential support regions, resistance region around these areas. So if and when we see potential closes below that, we can get involved and definitely be looking to short down into 87. Breaks back above 89.20, we can look for potential pushes back to the upside, but at the moment, focus firmly to downside potentials and gold. So gold is the only real thing for the dollar at the moment that I am backing for potential back in the dollar with. As things stand at the moment, obviously what we need to get below is the previous support region. If and when we can break back below and see a solid close below, then you've almost certainly got a run back into 17.45. It is, however, once those lows are taken out. So if I just pull this back down also, just gonna slide this back across. So if and when we can get back below these lows around 17.40, there is very, very little to stop us from firing in to around this 16.75 region that we can see through here. So if I just grab that, coming back into these previous lows and firing back into this area. So a pretty significant drop. Definitely covering some fair distance and looks almost odds on. So if we can get below 17.30, we've got at least a 600 pip drop into 16.80. But as I said, 16.75 is definitely possible also, coming into these lower areas and the spikes that we've seen through here before previously. So just watch for those spikes. But at the moment, as things stand, getting below 17.40 is the key. Not really interested in longing the pair, but if we can get below 17.40, then that definitely opens up the opportunity for some significant short positions that we would be able to take advantage of. It is just this fact of a higher high, potential higher low forming that could see us driving back up towards 17.75. We just need to be a bit patient, sit on our hands a little bit and watch for what happens. These yen pullbacks look like they're occurring at the moment, or definitely setting up to occur. So definitely keep a watch, keep an eye on it, and then we'll see where things go. A lot of alerts are set though, and then obviously we go from there for the rest of the week. But I hope everyone has a decent day. Hope everyone has a decent morning, and I'll catch up with people a little bit later.